What movie or series lit your fuse and made you have to tell stories on screen?
I think I was a teenager. I saw on television the film Out of Africa. I was completely blown away by Meryl Streep's performance, and I thought that that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. Well, this was an incredibly romantic film, right? And there's something about Meryl and how honest her performances are, particularly in that film, and also, you know, Sophie's Choice and Kramer versus Kramer. She feels so raw, and that she's really experiencing things as that character would in that moment. I mean, which is, of course, what you expect from an actor, because that is ultimately what an actor's doing. But there's something about how she does that, that I just remember thinking that I got it. There's something about her performance that made me get her profession, that I got how exquisite she was. I think for many actors, there's something about what Meryl Streep brings to each of her characters that I don't even know how to put it into words. It just feels like it's so hard that she makes something hard look incredibly easy.
On your way up, what movie or series did you watch that was so good it made you question if you could ever rise to that level?
To the point of Meryl Streep. When I saw Sophie's Choice, again, I was just completely gobsmacked by her performance. And I think I had read that she had learnt Polish for the role. And I remember thinking, you know, could I ever do that? Would I ever do that? Am I that committed to my craft? If I'm not that committed, does that mean that I'm not a good enough actor? But there was also another film, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but I remember walking out of the theatre in tears because I thought, I'll never be that good. I just thought I might as well give up right now. I'll never be that good. And fortunately, it passed. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, if things don't kill you, they make you stronger. And so if those moments weren't the killing of my career, so to speak, because I swore that I'd give up and, you know, might as well not try, then I guess the lesson there is to just try and be as good as I can be at any given time. And I, you know, as an actor, as a younger actor, going on audition after audition after audition, certainly feeling, you know, so much rejection for so long, to be able to go in and feel really good about what one showed up with and how one showed up, and still be okay with not getting something, but just being proud of oneself, I guess, for having done the best that one can do, is actually a better feeling at the end of the day, I think, than knowing that you're lying to yourself and you're actually making excuses for yourself.
Whether it was your own work or approval from someone who mattered to you, what first gave you the confidence that you belonged?
When I was living in New York, I did a play, Absent Friends, off Broadway at the Manhattan Theatre Club. And it was my first big play, the only play I think I've done off Broadway. And it was quite a big deal because I hadn't really done much theatre outside of college before, and they were taking a big risk on me, and I ended up winning the Theatre World Award, which is, I think, for best newcomer or best young performer or whatever. And so, and I, in the notices and stuff and the papers, I was written about for the first time in my career, and it really felt like I had arrived. And then one of my customers said to me, while I was waiting tables still, weren't you that girl who was in that play who had all those write-ups? And I said, yeah, that was me. And he said, what happened? And so, but that's our business. What happened? So I hadn't really arrived. Or I had arrived, but I'd only arrived a little bit. I got my 15 minutes of fame, or whatever. And it was incredibly humbling and probably exactly what I needed. Well, not probably, obviously exactly what I needed at so early in my career, because I think I'd only been out of college for, less than a year, I think. And already I was in an off-Broadway play. And so I was unbelievably lucky, and certainly had a lot more tables to wait and a lot more sidewalks to, stomp before anything else happened. That meant that I'd arrived, I guess.
What was the biggest obstacle you overcame that allowed you to turn the projects that influenced you into your own language?
Well, I think it was more a matter of finally deciding that I could be a bit more discerning. There are a lot of people who rely on me, and I think because of that, I've often said yes to things that I didn't need to, because of feeling that weight of responsibility. And I think I've gotten to a place where I want to be more in a place of trusting that if I am more discerning and I choose things that have integrity or that have some kind of positive social impact, that I will be okay. That by sticking to that I don't necessarily have to work all the time to keep things going, that I can say no and take breaks, and it will be okay if my heart and my intention is in the right place.
What keeps you optimistic that this industry will be able to rebound?
I'm interested in how the industry is going to rebound from being called out on systemic racism. And I think that it's absolutely fantastic that the conversation is as in all of our faces as much as it is at the moment. That there is a very, very long way to go. And people are talking about funds being redistributed and, police funding being, the many, many billions of police funding, whether it's police funding or just government funding, purposefully going into the arts and educating a wider portion of humanity. There are so many aspects of our industry that are not inclusive of of how diverse our world is, and particularly behind the camera, to have to make sure without a doubt that everybody has an opportunity to be educated and to be trained, just because they have an interest in it, as opposed to what side of the tracks they grew up on, or what race or culture they came from. And I think that is a fantastic goal for our industry to reach for. And I mean, hopefully in the same way that the Me Too and Time's Up movement has actively made changes, has put forth very, very specific actions that can take place within our industries and other industries in terms of protecting women and minorities in workplaces, and in our industry in terms of abuse. And I do feel that there are organizations that are out there within the Black Lives Matter movements, which have the same kinds of intentions and desire to hold people to their word and focus on what needs to happen in order for change to take place, to actually start taking place. And I think that I have certainly been paying more attention. I think that potentially a lot more white people are starting to pay attention, that it is also our problem. It is majoritively our problem, and something that we need to take a front line in doing something about.